continue to hear more from many of them. But we want to jump into a framing for the next small group activity we're going to do, where we're really going to be asking you to step into your stretch zone and to stretch into vulnerability. I'm just going to show the video, and then we'll talk about it. This is a video by an Oakland-based singer called Mikey Paul, and it took place in downtown Oakland. Yeah, I'm just going to show the video. So it's like 6 minutes, and then I'll be back.
There will be lots of closed captions on the side. If you were to make a sign about something about yourself that you probably want to hide, what would you say? I know, I'm working on it. About something about yourself that you normally want to hide, what would you say?
Passionate eyes can rip your soul from your seats. As people lie down with the water to drink. This is a crazy taste of reality, and all of die, all of breathe, all of die, all of breathe.
There was a lot up there. I didn't get it. I struggled in my own life.
We gotta rise up, oh, we gotta stand up tall. Don't let this world lock you out of your soul. We gotta rise up, oh, we gotta stand up tall. Don't let this world lock you out of your soul. Hey. Open your eyes to the sight of the blessings disguised in the light. The darkness in the world is real. Have right action, stand on your feet. No matter what path we choose, keep on circling the fracture or move. All people stand up in your night. Everything is sacred, everyone is sacred. We gotta rise up, oh, we gotta stand up tall. Don't let this world lock you out of your soul. We gotta rise up, oh, we gotta stand up tall. Don't let this world lock you out. When we look inside, when we see this ember, we know this light inside is our love. When we look inside, when we see this ember, we know this light inside is some child. We're imitating stars that move across the shimmer. We know this light inside is our love. When we look inside and polish the mirror, we know this light inside is our love. When we look inside, when we see this ember, we know this light inside is our love. When we look inside, when we see this ember, we know this light inside is some child. We're imitating stars that move across the shimmer. We know this light inside is our love. When we look inside and polish the mirror, we know this light inside, yeah. We gotta rise up, we gotta stand up tall. Don't let this world lock you out of your soul. We gotta rise up, we gotta stand up tall. Don't let this world lock you out. We gotta rise up, we gotta stand up tall. Don't let this world lock you out of your soul. We gotta rise up, we gotta stand up tall. Don't let this world lock you out. Don't let this world lock you out. Don't let this world lock you out.
I'm glad you guys are in here with us. I am.
Of your heart.
So that video, for anyone that has been in Oakland, you may recognize it was recorded on the corner of Broadway and 14th Street. And anyone that knows anything about Oakland knows that Broadway and 14th is where everything happens. That's where the Occupy encampment had our camp. That's where Scott Olson, the Iraq War veteran with Veterans for Peace, was shot in the head with a beanbag from the police, fracturing his skull, which eventually led to the Oakland General Strike. I've been pepper sprayed and tear gassed multiple times on that corner. I've seen kids break windows and looting Foot Locker on that corner. I've seen people light fire to trash cans on that corner. Like, I've seen a lot of things go down at that intersection. And I get the sense that nothing I've ever done took as much courage as what those people did at that corner, right? I don't know if everybody got a chance to see during the gallery walk this morning, one of our trainers in Soledad Prison, when he was facilitating a workshop one day, said that committing murder took no courage. That was an act based entirely on fear. That the most courageous thing that he had ever done is to show up fully with all of who he was and to express all his sorrow and his joy and his guilt. That was the most courageous thing that he had ever done. And so for us, when we talk about fierce vulnerability, like, I want to imagine what it would look like to go into a direct action, to go into a situation where we know we might get pepper sprayed, we might get arrested, and instead of leading with a message of F you, you're racist, you're a capitalist, we're here to shut you down, can we have the courage to lead with our vulnerability and say, we are here because our hearts are broken? Many of us in the network are inspired by this elder named Lenise Pinkard, who talks about how we need to build movements that have the courage to have a relationship with our heartbrokenness. That all of these issues should break our hearts, right? Like, climate change should break our hearts when we think about the future that our children are gonna have to live through. Like, when we go and protest some of what's going on at the border, it's not just this theoretical thing, right? The first time we ever facilitated our first 2-day Fierce Vulnerability workshop, I got news in the midst of the workshop that one of my very dear friend of mine, AJ, who was at the time incarcerated, we found out that he was getting deported after, and he's actually back in the Philippines now. And it completely broke me. Our friend and brother Pancho from the network just got deported back to Mexico. I don't know if we're ever gonna see him again. It's these reasons that motivate us into direct action. And it's us having the courage to share our vulnerability and saying, we are here because something is wrong with our world. We have to believe that if we can lead with that radical level of honesty, that it might be enough to reach the humanness of all the people that we need to transform. And so direct action, not as a way of shutting down just bridges, but opening up our hearts, right? And so what we're gonna do next is we're gonna break back up into our home teams, and your facilitators are going to lead us through an activity similar to what we just witnessed. And again, the invitation is to go into your stretch zone. And the one last thing on that I want to share is that years ago, I was in a retreat, and I shared a story about a childhood trauma that I'd never shared before. And I shared it because I thought it was something in between my comfort and my stretch zone, like right on the edge of my comfort level. I thought it was something that I had completely gotten over. Until I spoke it for the first time. And it landed with like the weight of an anvil, and I completely broke down and went immediately into my panic zone. And so just for us to have a little bit of awareness that something that we think that might be in our stretch zone, which is our invitation to you, if it's something you've never shared before, once you share it publicly, it might land on you very differently. And part of the work of Fierce Vulnerability is knowing ourselves enough to know what we can open up and like stay safe, and what's a little bit too much for us, and what if we open up it might be re-traumatizing. Right, so a lot of the work is self-awareness. A lot of the work is building our muscles for vulnerability, so that stretch zone keeps getting bigger and bigger, and there's more things that we can open up about. But if you're not used to this kind of work, I invite you to like get into that stretch zone, but just have a little bit of awareness about what that might mean for you, all right? And so I'm gonna leave you in the very capable hands of our amazing team. We're gonna break now, and again, take a short break, get some fresh air, go to the bathroom, and we're gonna start back in our home team rooms at 3:45. All right, so we have about, is that right? Yeah, 3:45. So yeah, a good half hour, go for a walk, take a breath, and at 3:45 we'll get started in our home rooms.